He's the most senior member of the Catholic clergy in Australia to be charged with concealing child sex offences, allegedly failing to help an altar boy who'd suffered horrific abuse at the hands of priest Jim Fletcher. Now on trial, Archbishop Philip Wilson's facing a barrage of questions.
Do you have any recollection of this conversation in 1976? Did you fail a child?
Prosecutors allege Peter Cray, then 15, told Wilson in the 1970s about the sexual abuse he'd suffered 5 years earlier, and that Wilson failed to report the matter to police, allegedly telling the victim he couldn't believe Fletcher would do such things and that he should be ashamed of himself for lying. It's alleged Wilson concealed the crimes due to the damage it would have caused his and the church's reputation. Today, after a morning of argument over prosecution evidence, including character statements, the Archbishop's barrister Stephen Odgers SC dropped a bombshell, telling Magistrate Robert Stone he'll be making a no-case submission tomorrow, which could take some time due to the detailed written material.
Mr. Odgers, are you hoping this case will be thrown out?
No comment.
Mr. Wilson's legal team have previously made 3 attempts to have the charges ruled invalid, but all have been rejected. Crown Prosecutor Gareth Harrison made his closing argument today, highlighting evidence from witnesses who allege Wilson shut them down and dissuaded or discouraged them from complaints about the church. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
Construction crews were busy today at Worth Place. The area's been their focus since January, and it's proved challenging, with work revealing a tangle of services beneath the surface. Now, all but complete, it'll open to traffic tomorrow, while triggering other changes along the light rail construction path.
So that means to cross over between Hunter Street and Honeysuckle Drive, Worth Place will be the main connection point.
With the laying of track, building a light rail stop and footpath works. Revitalising Newcastle is asking motorists to be patient.
Look, we know every time we change the roads slightly that there's a little bit of congestion, a little bit of frustration and disruption creeps in. We're just asking everyone to stay calm, think about how they're getting in and out of the city and plan that trip.
The civic works are expected to take between 6 and 8 weeks, while the project overall remains on time and on budget.
The really shocking anti-Newcastle manoeuvre here was to put a set of handcuffs on the Hunter's economy for the next 99 years. If the port expands, handles containers, they'll be fined for doing so. And the fines go to Sydney.
An empty rail corridor, soon to be home for Novocastrians.
It could be bus drivers, cleaners, it could be people working at the university, it could be people in the health system.
It's an affordable housing development right in the heart of the CBD. The Lord Mayor says with $1 billion worth of DA approvals last financial year and the same figure expected this year, house prices are being pushed upwards.
What we don't want to see is a city that locks out key workers, and we want to make sure that we have affordable housing projects in the heart of our city.
We gave an undertaking to the community of Newcastle that around 2/3 of the old corridor would remain in public use, community use.
The 30-unit development will have 1, 2 and 3 bedroom dwellings. It's a joint government Hunter Development Corporation project. Evolve Housing won the tender.
3-bedders could have an income where it's a family with a couple of children. In that case, in affordability, can earn up to about $110,000. If you're single, it's around $50,000 for a 1-bedroom. A person can go onto our website, do a calculation on their income to see if they qualify, and then can put an application in.
Today's announcement comes just weeks after the Catholic Church ditched its affordable housing plan for the old Empire Hotel site. The Hunter Development Corporation say this project won't fall through.
This one, because of the structure that we used, will go forward, and we're looking forward to getting started as soon as possible.
The first residents will move in December 2019. Georgia Marr, NBN News.
It was a Knights win of old, gritty and full of guts. But the talk post-match has been all about those comments.
When Wayne came to town, if he thought with his big head rather than his little head, I wouldn't have had to rebuild the joint.
Nathan Brown versus Wayne Bennett. Some say the current Knights coach went too far. But Nathan Ross, who Bennett famously declared would never make it in the NRL, disagrees.
I think it's good that Brownie stood up for himself. People talk about our club, people talk about our team, people talk about our town for too long now. Nathan's done tremendous things here since coming, and the way the club was and helping build the club to where we're going to go. And I think it's great that he showed the courage to stand up and show that he's willing to defend our team and defend our town as well. Nathan has my support. I think it's good that he's backed up our team.
On the field, the Ross dog found himself back in the centres, replacing the injured Tautau Moga, a spot he wants to make his own.
It's a position that I'm hoping that if I continue to play well in, that I might be able to hold for the year.
Daniel Safiti signalled he's shaken off shoulder concerns, putting in his best performance of the year. The towering props form will be tested by Melbourne's Monster Pack on Friday night, which includes Man Mountain Nelson Asofa-Solomona.
He's always a tough player, and he's big, but he's also got some heart and he's tough, and I love playing against those type of players. And if we aim up like we did against the Broncos, I think we'll give ourselves a good shot this week against the Storm.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
He doesn't like making many changes to his squad, but Ernie Merrick could be forced into several for the clash with the Mariners. Brown has likely played his last game this season after tearing his calf muscle. Vargas needs an MRI on his groin after leaving the field early against Perth, while the skipper isn't likely to be risked against his old club.
Hopefully, a couple of them, or at least Ronnie, will come up for the semi-final. But you never know, Nigel might, I'm not sure. It's just not looking good just now.
But don't think for a second the coach or his players are about to panic.
I think we have to rework the midfield so we've got a better defensive setup in midfield. They want to know what to do to get better, and they're working hard at it.
Nikolai Topor-Stanley and Ben Kandarovski will remain in central defence, while Daniel Georgievski returns from suspension to the backline. Dimi Petratos was at his lethal best at training today. He'll be the first choice to replace Vargas if the Venezuelan is ruled out. But the coach is yet to decide who'll play out wide as he looks to reignite his team's once lethal attack.
They're not huge changes, they're just minor changes, and we work on every training session. It works really well. There's no reason why it shouldn't work well on the weekend, despite what opposition defenders will try and stop them from doing.
With just one game left before the finals, the F3 derby couldn't have come at a better time.
They'll be desperate to make sure they don't finish on the bottom of the ladder. The Mariners boys are no doubt full of pride, and they'll be doing everything they can to beat us. So it's the sort of pressure again that we need and see if we can respond to.
We play as a team, and I think everybody in this room knows that. We share the ball, push it, and then defensively we play as a team. Just taking care of my body, rest, massage, stuff like that. I feel great.
She's the Hunter's newest golden girl. Natasha Scott ecstatic after skippering the Australian women's fours to Commonwealth Games gold. The win produced a rowdy reception, particularly by lawn bowl standards.
The crowd's been awesome. I know personally I love it. They really rallied behind us and they brought us home.
The excitement so high, an over-enthusiastic high five left Scott with a dislocated knuckle, forcing her to recover in a splint. To those at her home club in Raymond Terrace, the comical circumstances surrounding the injury were no surprise.
When I was texting her last night, she told me she dislocated her finger, and I'm like, of course you did, of course you did. So definitely not surprised, that's Tash all over.
Scott's friends are overjoyed for the girl who started bowling at 15 years old to finally be a gold medalist at her third Games.
She's just such a champion of champions, and I've followed her around as district president to nearly every championship game she plays, and to sit at home and watch her on the telly was magic. Yeah.
Everyone proud of her here?
Oh, certainly, yeah. How could you not be?
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Four months after it began, the landmark hearing of Adelaide's Catholic Archbishop, Philip Wilson, now into its final days.
Archbishop, anything to say?
His case now resting with a magistrate after his legal team applied to have the matter thrown out, claiming the Archbishop has no case to answer over allegations he failed to report child sexual abuse. In his closing address, defence barrister Stephen Odgers SC told the court it's a matter of speculation whether the accused would have remembered the allegation made to him 28 years ago. 67-year-old Wilson, who has always denied the allegation, is accused of failing to report the sexual assault of then 15-year-old Peter Cray by pedophile priest James Fletcher in 1971. Mr. Odgers questioned the strength of Mr. Cray's evidence and his ability to remember events almost 30 years ago. Earlier today, Magistrate Stone rejected an application to allow evidence from 2 witnesses in an attempt by the defence to prove the Archbishop had a tendency to report allegations of child sexual abuse. Anything to say about the rulings today? In his closing address, Crown Prosecutor Gareth Harrison told the court the accused was told there was an act and there is no intervening evidence to prove he didn't remember. A decision on the no case application could be made as early as tomorrow. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Rigged up and ready to go, with Port Stephens providing a breathtaking backdrop.
And you got 100 boats all charging for the start line together. It's quite a good spectacle.
Day 2 of the Commodores Cup, part of Sail Port Stephens, blessed by better conditions than yesterday.
It was good breeze at the start and it slowly dropped off. Like everybody, we probably had a couple of little things happen, but we'll iron that out and today will be a new day.
It's a totally different breeze today. The breeze is from the south and it'll tend to the southeast this afternoon.
How's your crew going?
Crew's going well. A lot of insubordination yesterday, but we managed to shake that out of them early in the piece.
Now in its 11th year, the Cup's attracted veterans and rookies alike. But come Friday, the recreational skippers will be off the water and the State Cup will get underway.
In your own little home patch, you sort of start to think that, you're top of the pops, but maybe you're not. So it's good to compete against some of the other guys.
We just come up here with crew. We just treat it as our annual holiday, our sailing holiday for the year.
There's a record number of boats entered into the regatta this year and it's brought a wave of visitors to the region outside of school holidays, creating a raft of economic benefits.
We require all the accommodation we can get in town. We require all the marina berths we can. It's now driving over $1 million worth of revenue into what was a quieter week.
This is our first year actually. It certainly won't be our last.
Georgia Ma, NBN News.
It's been the talk of the NRL, but today Nathan Brown wasn't throwing any more fuel on the fire.
I've got no interest in talking about that these days. I've already done enough work for you blokes. There's plenty of stuff to write about and we've moved on to the Melbourne Storm and that's dead and buried for me.
He was more candid on 100% footy last night.
I've spoke to Benny Ike and I've spoke to Wayne and I explained to both that my beef was with Wayne and not their loved ones, and if I've offended anyone, I apologise.
But now he's determined to move on, backed by his players.
The character of the coach is what's brought a lot of us players here. We see the type of guy that he is. He is a strong character and he's a good leader, so yeah, we're behind him.
Newcastle head south wary of a Storm side reeling from back-to-back losses. It's the first time Melbourne's been out of the top 8 in 92 rounds of football, and it's the Tigers who've done the damage.
It's been sheerly built on commitment and effort. If something's gone wrong, they've found a way to get a body there to stop it. If a ball's bounced in the ground, they've found a way to get it.
The Knights have moved on quick from the impressive win over Brisbane, none faster than Sione Matautia. On Saturday night, he went head-to-head with Tavita Pangai Jr.
On Sunday morning, the Bronco, a Knights recruitment target, became godfather to Mataudia's daughter.
We have that close relationship for a while, and we grew up together, played footy since we were 9 years old. He's happy where he is at the moment, and he just wants to focus on playing footy, and that's what I said to him, mate. Like, just keep your footy in mind, and then the rest will do itself.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
Haven't been as successful as the other teams in the group, but that's the thing that we have to be cautious of, that we aren't too complacent going to the game. I think we have a physical edge over them, but they're still technically a good team.
He waited a long time for his maiden Group 1 win. Now Smith has 2 in as many weeks. Rank outsider Eldorado Dreaming claiming the Inglis Sires by the barest of margins. Not bad considering Smith had to convince the horse's owner to enter.
She's pulled up quite well, so more than likely we'll head to the Champagne, the third leg of the Triple Crown on Saturday week, and hopefully we can get the same result.
The news wasn't so good for stable star in her time in the TJ Smith. Jockey Damien Lane has admitted it was a bad ride.
Look, the horse's performance was terrific. She really hit the line well, and we'll just give her a little freshen up now and head to Brisbane for the Doomben 10,000 and possibly the Stradbroke.
Before then, Smith will look to win the provincial final with a new addition called Witches.
Although I don't know a great deal about her and I haven't had her long, she worked quite smartly this morning, and hopefully she can run an honest race on Saturday.
I went to the Bend last Friday, and in an hour and a half I set the second quickest ever time there. So yeah, I'm hoping to finish in the top 3.
Matt Hall worked hard throughout 2017 to master his new aircraft, but he didn't expect a livery change would throw its balance out of whack in Abu Dhabi.
We went there confident of being able to get a great result, but after looking at it and then flying it, we realised the plane was handling pretty poorly.
That race was 2 months ago. His plane has since been sanded back in Germany. Hall today headed to France early, where he'll test it out.
We've got team members already over there, a couple more team members going today with me, and we'll spend a week as a team there really refining the aircraft, so hopefully we'll turn up in Cairns for the next race on fire.
It'll be the first time the series has visited the famous city on the French Riviera.
It's pretty exciting just to be involved in that, but the track itself looks, it looks like it suits us a bit more than the Abu Dhabi track.
Hall believes the extra time in the aircraft will be crucial.
Very much so. It's been a long break as well between the 2 races, about 2 months. So, and I've been doing quite a bit of flying back home as well. So I've got to get my hands and feet back accustomed to the new plane, and also get the race plane dialed in how I want it.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
And the crowd is starting to build at Carrara Stadium for tonight's opening ceremony. NBN News reporter Alex Heinke is there and joins us live. Alex, how's the mood on the Gold Coast?
Good evening, Paul. Well, all things considered, it's been a bit wet and a little bit windy, but it hasn't stopped about 25,000 spectators getting into Carrara Stadium for the opening ceremony. It will start in about 2 hours' time. Now, we are hearing it will be a bit of a beach theme, plenty of sand involved. We know a combi van will also be involved, playing a very significant role. How that will play out, I'm not too sure, but Paul, I do know that there are 16 gold medals up for grabs on day one of the competition tomorrow. NBN News will, of course, bring you all the information on our local athletes, not only tomorrow, but across the next 11 days.
And NBN News reporter Penelope Leish joins us live now from the Gold Coast. Penny, all those gold medals are starting to add up for Australia.
They certainly are, Paul. Australia is sitting on a total of 89 medals all up, more than 30 of those gold. To put it in perspective, our nearest rival, England, they're on a 55 total, so we're well out and ahead. And tonight, hopefully, more medals can be added to that tally. There's 9 up for grabs in the pool over at Southport. Local girls from Brisbane, Kate and Bronte Campbell, they're in the 100-metre freestyle final, so hopefully they'll both bring home some joy there. The 800-metre women's freestyle final, local girl Ariane Titmus, she's in with a good chance there as well, especially after just being pipped for a silver in the 200 metres a few days ago. If it's more track and field that you're interested in, well, there's plenty of action over at Carrara Stadium. Aussie Hope's in for the shot put and the javelin. Also, the women's and the men's 100-metre sprint finals. But tomorrow it will be all about the 18-year-old Riley Day, the girl from Beaudesert, just west of the Gold Coast. She's running her first 200-metre heats, so plenty more action to come from the Gold Coast, Paul.
Thanks, Penny. Penelope Leish reporting there. And we'll have all the swimming action later in sport.
Good evening, Paul. Yes, you're absolutely right. Local legend Kurt Fearnley will be in action tonight at his T54 1500-metre event, of course, at Carrara. He's a hot favourite to take that one out, hopefully picking up his first gold of this campaign. But it won't be his last race of this campaign, his pet event, the marathon, of course, taking place on Sunday. Fingers crossed Kurt can return to the Hunter with 2 gold medals. Now, last night, a fellow Novocastrian, Natasha Scott, won gold in the women's 4 lawn bowls team. She's back in action today. She's actually playing right now in the triples. Only moments ago, they were ahead of India in their round 3 clash-up. Hopefully, Natasha can lead that team through to the finals, and she too, like Kurt, might be returning with more than 1 gold medal.
And there's plenty happening in the athletics too tonight. NBN News reporter Alex Heinke joins us live from the Gold Coast. And Alex, there's one last track race for an all-time great.
Good evening, Paul. Yes, you're absolutely right. Local legend Kurt Fearnley will be in action tonight at his T54 1500-metre event, of course, at Carrara. He's a hot favourite to take that one out, hopefully picking up his first gold of this campaign. But it won't be his last race of this campaign, his pet event, the marathon, of course, taking place on Sunday. Fingers crossed Kurt can return to the Hunter with 2 gold medals. Now, last night, a fellow Novocastrian, Natasha Scott, won gold in the women's 4 lawn bowls team. She's back in action today. She's actually playing right now in the triples. Only moments ago, they were ahead of India in their round 3 clash-up. Hopefully, Natasha can lead that team through to the finals, and she too, like Kurt, might be returning with more than 1 gold medal.
Let's hope. Thanks, Alex. Alex Heinke reporting there.
Well, Paul, it was Sunday night when Team Cameroon first began to lose track of their athletes. 2 more then disappeared on Monday and some more last night too, all of them taking their belongings with them. We've just spoken with the attaché for the chef de mission of that nation, and he says it is sad but unfortunately true. At this stage, he's not entirely sure why they left. Apparently nobody knew about it. His only speculation is it could be they're looking for greener pastures. Now, from the 8 missing, 3 of them are weightlifters, 5 were here for the boxing, but 2 didn't even show up for their bouts. And the Australian authorities have been notified, but at this stage there's nothing they can do as they're legally in the country until their visas run out. So whether they leave on time or whether perhaps they're playing an extended game of cat and mouse, we'll keep you updated. Paul?
Still on the Commonwealth Games, and 8 athletes from the Cameroon team have gone missing from the Gold Coast. NBN reporter Penny Leash joins us live from the Gold Coast. Penny, what's the latest?
Well, Paul, it was Sunday night when Team Cameroon first began to lose track of their athletes. 2 more then disappeared on Monday and some more last night too, all of them taking their belongings with them. We've just spoken with the attaché for the chef de mission of that nation, and he says it is sad but unfortunately true. At this stage, he's not entirely sure why they left. Apparently nobody knew about it. His only speculation is it could be they're looking for greener pastures. Now, from the 8 missing, 3 of them are weightlifters, 5 were here for the boxing, but 2 didn't even show up for their bouts. And the Australian authorities have been notified, but at this stage there's nothing they can do as they're legally in the country until their visas run out. So whether they leave on time or whether perhaps they're playing an extended game of cat and mouse, we'll keep you updated. Paul?
Thank you, Penny. Penny Leash live there from the Gold Coast.
The Archbishop's legal team was hopeful the case would be thrown out today, but a magistrate didn't agree. The Archbishop silent as he entered the Newcastle court, where he quickly learned the trial would go on. The magistrate rejecting arguments there wasn't enough evidence to form a case against the Archbishop for concealing child sex abuse. Moments later, the Archbishop was called to the stand by his legal team to give evidence. He was asked about an alleged conversation in 1976 in which Peter Cray claims he told Philip Wilson about horrid sexual acts he was subjected to as a 10-year-old by convicted pedophile priest Jim Fletcher. Philip Wilson's lawyers asking if he had any memory of such a conversation, to which the Archbishop replied, "I don't." When further pressed on the likelihood of the conversation occurring, he said, "I think that is unlikely because the nature of the evidence was so graphic, I don't think I would have forgotten that." Despite the Archbishop denying any memory of the conversation, prosecutors allege it did happen and he didn't report what he had been told even after Jim Fletcher was arrested for sexually assaulting another altar boy in 2004. The trial also heard the Archbishop has been in contact with Peter Cray's family. As recent as 2006, he wrote to Mr. Cray's mother after her husband passed away.
As Newcastle evolves, so too is its surroundings. Last year, the Hunter recorded an 8% rise in new home building approvals.
We had record numbers last year in new dwelling approvals across the Hunter. Across the Hunter and the Central Coast combined, over 6,000 approvals.
A number Craig Jenian from the Housing Industry Association sees has highlighted a serious trade shortage as the building industry tries to keep up with demand.
There's a range of skills that are in shortage at the moment, particularly carpentry, tiling and what we call wet trades, so plasterboard and a whole range of other areas to do with the internal fit out of dwellings.
Today, nearly 150 students from as far as Dungog were opened to the wealth of opportunities in the sector. The trade career event hosted by HIA pairing curious youth to those with experience.
We actually got some carpenters, some builders, some electricians coming through to talk about their start in the industry, what it meant and how they've actually transitioned into owning their own businesses.
They can really improve your skills around people.
I'm very interested in just carpentry. I just like designing.
It'd be great to sort of see every builder take on one apprentice or every subcontractor. That will certainly be a good way of addressing the skill shortage that's coming in the future.
Talia Sav, NBN News. For people with Parkinson's disease, controlled movement can be extremely difficult. But here, those with the condition take to the dance floor carefree. There's no judgment, just the chance to let go and have fun.
If you have Parkinson's, a lot of people withdraw into themselves, particularly the men. And so to come to somewhere like this where everyone feels very comfortable, very at ease, because it doesn't matter if you're shaking or you've got some other symptom, no one's going to be looking at you.
Jessica Keneally teaches dance for Parkinson's. She says dance is now considered one of the best therapies for the disease, with the benefits extending far beyond the social side of things.
Cognitive benefits range from processing speeds to decision making to sequencing movement, helping memory. Also, the physical benefits are helping them with their gait, balance and that sort of thing.
And many participants are noticing an improvement in their symptoms.
Exercise is very beneficial, and dance because you're using your brain as well as your muscles of your body, so both help.
But most importantly, they're enjoying themselves. Emma Murphy, NBN News. Wheeling himself over Himalayan rivers and in freezing conditions, crawling across the most unforgiving of terrain. It feels like a world away for 29-year-old Scott Doolan, who's back at home and enjoying a well-earned break.
Nothing like I could have expected, I didn't train on anything like that.
Today, admiring picturesque Merriweather with his mates, Scott's back in good health. After battling altitude sickness, a tailbone fracture and a chest infection in an already gruelling challenge to Mount Everest Base Camp.
Just kept getting worse and worse, and I just thought, I don't know how much more I could take of this.
And during the 65-kilometre trek, another hurdle was thrown when the wheel of his specialty chair snapped off on day 8 of 10, needing the support of friend Matt Laycock more than ever.
Carrying Scotty over sections that are dangerous, and even the wheelbarrow for me, it's tough, but you look at Scott walking on his hands and, you don't have any excuse.
The local children they met along the way a huge motivation.
They don't really have much up there, and they still love life and they enjoy life, and you sort of take things for granted when you're over here, and that sort of definitely hit me hard, yeah.
Pushing through the pain and exhaustion to the very end.
As I sort of touched that rock, and everyone around me just sort of surrounded me and started clapping and wanted to shake my hand, and it was pretty damn humbling, to be honest.
And while he required a medevac immediately, it was mission accomplished and one for the history books. His sights now on competing as a swimmer in the 2020 Paralympics and conquering Mount Kilimanjaro.
I've got the bug for adventure now, so yeah, hopefully we'll do something like that. Whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve it.
The mission was supported by clothing company Apexgen, which is now looking to create a documentary. Talia Sav, NBN News.
Given the run of luck they've endured, this is the last thing Jets fans want to see. Joey Chamness accidentally cleaned up. He stayed down for some time, although did walk from the field. It's believed to be just a bad cork, and he should still face the Mariners. Ronnie Vargas won't. Although an MRI scan on his groin strain came back positive, he won't be risked ahead of the finals, meaning Dimi Petratos will play in the number 10 role, Jason Hoffman on the right wing. It's a match Newcastle is fired up for, keen to prove there's no crisis of confidence.
It's just little things. Whenever you go through a bad patch, it's not a big change or big things need to change. It's just little tweaks here and there.
Jack Duncan admits it hasn't been enjoyable conceding 10 goals in 3 games, but says the Jets are undeterred.
That's probably a big part of why we've been successful this year, is because we've got such good culture in this club and in the team, and the boys are all fighting for each other, and no matter what, we've got the confidence, we've got the players to go out the next week, no matter what happens the week before, and get a result.
The goal is clear this weekend.
A win, 3 points.
Just like they did in round 1.
We really ran away with it from there, and we did so well that first 5-6 weeks where we were unstoppable in a sense, and then so I think it's just about getting that belief back that we had right at the start, and I think what an occasion that was.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
Yeah, he's a really good motivator. We'll use that word. He'll have the boys fired up, and they probably weren't too happy with their performance, even though Tigers are playing really good footy. But I know they really want to win, and there's only one way they'll do it, and they'll be running hard and tackling hard. So we'll be up for it.
They may not boast the resources of their NRL clubmates, but these future stars love their footy all the same.
Yeah, well, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, it's an important stage of their life, and mentally they've got to be able to be resilient and have that adversity that if they don't make the SG Ball or Harold Mack side, there's an opportunity for them to work hard, train hard and still get noticed. Because at the end of the day, kids just want to be playing football.
The Laurie Daly Cup is a new country rugby league development initiative, and Newcastle is the front runner.
They've scored 252 points and only conceded 30.
The side boasts a familiar face. Wes Nguama is enjoying his first foray into coaching, assistant to last year's Harold Matthew winning boss, Mark Morrissey. He has 10 players from that team, their connection proving vital.
I feel like we're all just having fun, playing well, and that's why we're getting good results.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
With a frustrating 0-0 draw against South Korea still fresh in their minds, the Matildas set the tone early against Vietnam. Alana Kennedy doubled the lead 10 minutes later before Chloe Lagazzo grabbed Australia's third. Newcastle Jet Emily Van Egmond made it 4-0 before the half-hour mark. Superstar Sam Kerr added her name to the score sheet before the break, then grabbed a double early in the second half. A win or a draw against Japan on Friday will see Australia through to the next round and earn automatic qualification for the World Cup.
Definitely can't take them lightly. The last time we played them, I think, was in the Olympic qualifiers, and we managed to put in a really good performance against them. So obviously coming into this game, we'll be looking to do the same.
Still on football, and Liverpool has advanced to the European Champions League semi-finals for the first time in 10 years, beating Manchester City 2-1 to complete a 5-1 aggregate victory in their quarter-final series. In the other quarter, Roma pulled off an incredible comeback. Down 4-1 from the opening leg, the Italians beat Barcelona 3-0.
Well, Paul, following the 8 athletes disappearing from Team Cameroon today, 2 squash players from Sierra Leone failed to show up for their match. There's also a Rwandan official missing, and it's understood Uganda may have lost track of a number of their athletes as well. At this stage, there's nothing illegal about them staying in Australia or travelling around until the 15th of May. That's when the visas expire, and Immigration Minister Peter Dutton has made it clear his department will not be looking favourably upon anyone who's tried to bend the rules and stay here if it does come to them being here beyond that date. So whether any of them try to make Australia their permanent home, we'll have to wait and see.
The number of athletes missing from the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games continues to grow. As it stands tonight, up to 13 have disappeared. NBN News reporter Penelope Leish joins us live from outside the Athletes' Village. Penny, what's the latest?
Well, Paul, following the 8 athletes disappearing from Team Cameroon today, 2 squash players from Sierra Leone failed to show up for their match. There's also a Rwandan official missing, and it's understood Uganda may have lost track of a number of their athletes as well. At this stage, there's nothing illegal about them staying in Australia or travelling around until the 15th of May. That's when the visas expire, and Immigration Minister Peter Dutton has made it clear his department will not be looking favourably upon anyone who's tried to bend the rules and stay here if it does come to them being here beyond that date. So whether any of them try to make Australia their permanent home, we'll have to wait and see.
Thanks, Penny. Penelope Leish reporting there.
We need to improve the bus service and preferably put it back to government buses.
What we've got is poor connectivity, blowouts in journey times, reduced operating hours, and of course cuts to very vital services.
Coal mining and the environment don't often go hand in hand, but today delegates on both sides came together to discuss how best to heal the physical scars of the industry.
To bring together scientists, the practitioners, the miners, as well as the planners from government, both federal and state.
A new approach to mine rehab was the hot topic at the conference in Newcastle, hosted by the Tom Farrell Institute and addressed by international experts. Among them, Professor Jose Martín Duca from Spain, who spoke about geomorphology. It looks at structuring the land so it doesn't erode, something touted as the next big step.
In Australia, it made a great job about soil rehabilitation and vegetation, but we need to integrate the big scale, the landforms, the catchments.
The event not just about theory, but practice. This large drone, just one of the new technologies on show, helping mining companies capture better data.
From gas leaks to the health of plants, to the health of animals, the number of animals, heat signatures, any number of things.
Now, in its 8th year, the conference attracted more than 250 delegates from across the country. Talia Sav, NBN News. A stately Edwardian mansion, Bella Vista's story is as grand as its sprawling surrounds. It was built for David Baker, the first manager of the BHP Steelworks.
We actually have the letters from him to Essington Lewis saying, can he build a more stately home to entertain dignitaries in, because the bells and the whistles of the BHP at the change of shift at night time keep him awake. So hence Bella Vista began in 1919.
It's hosted royalty and celebrities, but for owners and function centre operators John and Cheryl Nisner, it's been a way of life for the best part of 2 decades.
We're just getting old. It's just time for us to plan our retirement and move forward. The house, we would love to live in the house, but it's just too big.
It's bittersweet.
It is bittersweet.
It's bittersweet because we'd love to stay here, but realistically, it's it's time to move on.
Yeah.
With 7 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms and several formal dining and entertaining spaces, it's a unique place.
I'd like to think that someone could turn it into a beautiful family home, but with that heritage and all of those items still in place and remembered for what they are and not forgotten.
The house sits among what will become a gated community, with 12 villas to be developed along the sides of the property, all having access to the centrepiece gardens. The Nisners say it's about preserving the history.
It's always been a struggle for us, even with a successful business, to pay the ongoing cost of looking after this place. So this will guarantee its future.
Bella Vista is for sale via expressions of interest. Its value difficult to measure, especially for those departing.
It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, it will be.
Our heart's here. It's just not going to be an easy thing to walk away from.
He's used to playing for fans across the globe, but Ben Gillies found none in court today as he learnt his fate.
Drink driving is a really serious offence and I'm really sorry for it.
In sentencing Gillies for negligent driving and mid-range drink driving, Magistrate Peter Barnett made it clear the 38-year-old was facing the very real prospect of jail, saying he's very much in peril given he's blown just below high range, having accelerated away from a set of traffic lights before losing control and putting the motor vehicle into a power pole with a passenger in it. The accident happened in the early hours of January 21 on Maitland Road at Islington, after Gillies had earlier downed 5 stubbies of beer and consumed vodka. The court heard he was so drunk he was unsteady, couldn't maintain his balance, was slurring his speech, rambling and incoherent at times. His own solicitor, Craig Robinson, described it as a stupid decision and said his client is accepting the consequences. When asked by Magistrate Barnett why it happened, Mr Robinson explained Gillies wasn't coping being apart from his wife, who was overseas participating in a reality TV program. So much so, he relapsed. The magistrate handed him an 18-month good behaviour bond. Gillies was also fined $2,200 and disqualified from driving for 12 months.
Think before you get behind the wheel of a car. That easy. Cheers.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Cooper Cronk's departure saw Melbourne create a new halves pairing of Cameron Munster and Riley Jacks. Bura believes Smith has stepped up his involvement this season to ease the pressure on the pair.
We're going to have to concentrate a bit more on Cameron and make sure that we can shut him down, and I suppose put more pressure on their halves to do a lot of the work, because we all know how good Cameron is.
The Storm has won just 2 of its 5 games, but Bura believes the Knights will have to perform as well as they did against Brisbane to beat the Premiers.
The 3 games we've won this year, we completed at around 85%. And, we've applied ourselves and showed intent in defence.
The co-captain will start on the bench as he continues his utility role.
It is what it is, I suppose. I'm just making the most of it. Obviously played a bit of centres in the first couple of games and, playing a bit in the middle. So, I'm just more than happy to do whatever's necessary to help the team.
With Mitch Barnett suspended, Herman Esiesi isn't fazed about a move to lock. He's more worried about facing fellow Kiwi Jesse Bromwich.
Bromwich was definitely someone that I looked up to as a kid, and I tried to base my game around. So it'll be good to come up against him, and hopefully do a good job.
To have a look at our team in action in a competitive game. It's a local derby, pride on the line. There's a new coach in the house, so let's see what the players have got to offer.
They rocked the competition by knocking off South's Lions in last year's decider, but West's won no, they're now the hunted.
It's a big turnaround from last year, but I think with the girls we've got in our team, we know what our jobs are and what we have to do to get that top spot again.
The Lions have new faces, but the same goal.
3 championships in a row, so to drop the 4th was heartbreaking, I guess. But we're just going to work harder, and it puts the fire in our belly for this year.
Other high flyers, Forsyths, BNC and Nova are also gunning for top spot.
I think with majority of the team remaining core and remaining the same, and then with the new additions that will be great, I think we will hopefully go quite well.
Always got to push for that little bit better, so top 2 hopefully, but we've just got to work hard to get there and not just expect it.
Definitely make the finals, semi-finals. We would love to win, but we've got to work really hard.
South's Pride and Maryville Tavern will try to shake things up.
We came bottom 4, but overall pretty good. We proved that we could beat a lot of the top teams.
We narrowly missed out on semis, but we had a few challenges through the year, injuries, pregnancies and the like, so we'll be back better than ever this year.
New team West's 2 looms as the dark horse after a strong pre-season.
Training's been awesome. Round robin, we won 3 from 4 games.